All right, let's get right into one of America's most chilling and honestly most stubborn modern legends, the Michigan Dogman. This is a story that completely blurs the line between folklore, real eyewitness testimony, and what started as a prank.
Just try to picture this for a second. A creature that just shouldn't exist. For decades, people have described it as having these glowing blue or amber eyes. And get this, a howl that sounds way too much like a person screaming. It's a terrifying image, and it's one that has haunted the backwoods of Michigan for a long, long time.
So, what is going on here? Is it just a case of mistaken identity, a real, undiscovered animal, or is it something else entirely? To really get a grip on the Dogman, we have to pull apart this really fascinating story of local folklore, genuine terror, and a surprisingly catchy song that kind of accidentally gave a monster its name.
Okay, so let's start with the heart of the mystery, right? The creature itself. What are people actually saying they've seen when they claim they've run into the Dogman?
These are some seriously chilling lyrics, and we're going to talk a lot more about them in a minute. They just perfectly nailed that primal fear at the center of the whole Dogman legend. See, this isn't just an animal we're talking about. It's a monster that lives in that terrifying space right between human and beast.
Now this is what's so wild, the consistency. You look at reports across decades, across different counties, and these same core details just keep popping up. How do so many different people describe the exact same thing? They all talk about this towering creature on two legs, and that howl is the detail that truly chills people right to the bone.
And that brings us to maybe the single most important event in the whole modern Dogman story, an April Fool's Day prank back in 1987 that just completely took on a life of its own and shot a local ghost story into a national phenomenon.
So in 1987, a radio DJ in Traverse City named Steve Cook decides to write this spooky song for April Fool's Day. He pulls together some bits and pieces of local folklore, uses his imagination, and calls it The Legend. The plan? A simple one-day gag for the radio. The reality? It became the station's most requested song. And, you're not going to believe this, it caused over 100 people to call in with their own sightings, swearing that the creature from his song was real.
I mean, this just shows you how fast a piece of fiction can become a factual touchstone for people. After that song aired on April 1st, the phones at the station just blew up. The legend got so popular that Cook started selling it on cassettes, with all the money going to a local animal shelter. So in this really strange twist, a song about a terrifying monster actually ended up helping real animals.
Now, Cook himself, he's still a skeptic. He doesn't think the creature is real. But even he admits that his totally made-up song somehow tapped into something way older, a vein of folklore that was just sitting there, waiting for a name and a story to bring it out into the open.
Okay, so here's the big question, right? If the song was just a joke, why did so many people instantly believe it? Why did it hit such a nerve with the whole community?
And that is the central debate. Skeptics are going to tell you the song created the monster. But believers, they argue the song just gave a name to something that was already lurking. They point to the song's prophecy, this idea that big sightings happen in years ending in a 7, and they claim it lines up almost eerily well with historical accounts.
So let's look at this timeline they point to. It supposedly starts way back in 1887 with some lumberjacks in Wexford County. Then jump to 1937, a guy named Robert Fortney swears one of the dogs attacking him stood up on two legs. Fast forward to 57, you've got these huge claw marks on a church door. In 67, a grinning dog man peeking into a van window. The whole point here? All of these alleged sightings happened before the song that supposedly created the legend in 1987.
Which, of course, brings us to the biggest question of them all. What is the Dogman? Let's walk through the different theories, and they range from the super simple to the truly out there. So the most straightforward idea is that people are just, misidentifying normal animals. Michigan has a ton of black bears, and bears can absolutely stand and walk on two legs for a bit. In the dark or, in a moment of pure panic, could a bear or maybe a really big wolf look like something monstrous? Yeah, for sure. It's plausible.
Then you've got the cryptid theory. Now, a cryptid is just an animal that science hasn't proven exists. Think Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. This theory suggests the Dogman is a real flesh-and-blood creature that's just been hiding. Some people even think it could be a leftover population of something extinct, like the amphicyanid, which was this massive prehistoric predator people call a bear dog. Pretty cool idea.
This theory is a little more mind-bending. It suggests the Dogman is what some people call a tulpa or a thought form.
It's this idea that if enough people believe in something with enough energy, their collective belief can kind of will it into existence. It's a really fascinating look at how media can create folklore right before our eyes. So in this version, Steve Cook's song didn't describe a monster, it created one in our collective minds.
And last but not least, we have the most extraordinary theory, one that takes us deep into paranormal territory. This one proposes that the Dogman isn't a natural animal at all, but maybe some kind of ancient, maybe even engineered being. Some theories link it to Native American legends about shapeshifters, while others think it might be a guardian, a sentinel here for a purpose we can't even begin to guess.
And this idea connects to some of the most, esoteric takes on the legend. From this point of view, the Dogman isn't some mindless monster stalking through the woods. Nope. Instead, it's seen as a protector, a sentinel assigned to guard sacred places or ancient secrets from a time way before ours.
But look, no matter where it came from, whether it's flesh and blood, a spooky story, or something else, the Dogman has become this undeniable, permanent part of Michigan's culture.
And the legend's impact is totally real. It's been on TV shows like Monster Quest, it has its own dedicated podcasts, books, movies, it even helps fuel a little bit of tourism in northern Michigan. The incredible art of Brian Rosinski really gave the creature its iconic face, and Steve Cook's song, well, it's raised thousands of dollars for animal shelters. So its legacy is strange, but it's also a positive one.
I mean, this quote from Steve Cook's colleague really just says it all, doesn't it? The creature's true legacy isn't about whether it's actually in the woods, it's about how powerfully it exists in our stories. This is modern folklore in action.
Ultimately, the story of the Michigan Dogman reminds us that even now, in our modern world, there are still mysteries hiding out there in the deep woods. It makes you ask yourself, what's more powerful, the monster you think you see in the shadows, or the story that made you look for it in the first place?